I just finished watching Arcane this morning, and I had to sit down and yell at you about it for a minute. So this is gonna be a quick video because I don't even have I have not sat down to try to deconstruct my thoughts. I just wanna scream at the camera and tell you how good this is. I'm gonna do it in a spoiler-free way, just in case there's someone else in the world that has not watched this yet. I'm gonna do my best to convince you to do so. If you have watched it and you're a fan, hang out with me and let's shout together. I'm not much of a TV watcher at all, ever, but I had a friend that was gently pushing me to pick this TV series up, and from the first episode, I was very intrigued, and by the end of episode 3, you couldn't get me to stop watching it. Arcane is this steampunky setting, and it's this story about this unrest between these two civilizations. You have the upper city, which is beautiful and full of riches and prosperity, and then you have the lower city, which is full of unrest, full of addictions and crime and people just trying to survive. And you have this very delicate system we enter as it starts to crumble. We follow these two sisters who have this incredible family among them and who are trying to survive, but also Vi, who is very unhappy with life as it is and is ready to see change. We follow these scientists who have this new technology that can better the world, but they get caught up in the power and in the notability and promotion that comes and get wrapped up in it. There's this incredible line, we were so focused on becoming great that we forgot to be good. Oh my goodness. You have amazing camera work throughout this that adds to every scene, as well as incredible tension in the moments of dialogue and in the build up to action. The action is amazing, where there's so many different things happening at once, so many different characters that have different roles that they play in the action, panning back and forth between them, and then all coming together in this climax of an explosion in the action, whether it's two characters facing off or if it's a bunch of characters. It's so fluid, it's so beautifully animated, it's so intense. The score is incredible, and the characters from the beginning, you have this gorgeous animation that showcases the different levels of this society and the different states and conditions of this world. But from the beginning, the story knows that its focus is on the characters. And so we have this cast of characters, some that we follow more closely than others, but each one has their individual skill set, their individual personality, struggles, interactions, the way they play off of each other, the relationships between the characters, so that we very quickly get very invested in them. But this is also a story that feels so real. So as our characters are responding to their life situations and reacting and having these emotions to them and making choices, sometimes very bad choices, and there's very little plot armor. I'll put it that way. Characters respond in very human ways. Characters evolve and change throughout this series in very honest and human ways. If you've seen the kind of things that these characters see, if you go through the kind of things these characters go through, what happens to you? And that's what we look at with these characters. We see very human reactions to horrible situations, to loss, to devastation. And the story does such a good job of zooming in on emotion. It doesn't just have these bombastic fights and these brutal, grotesque things that happen, which the story, it doesn't shy away from the darkness that happens in the story, but it's not really grotesque. It could be a lot worse. But it doesn't just do these really bombastic big things and then move on. It hones in on the emotion of the scene, on the reactions of the characters, of the pain that they're going through in such a draw you in kind of way. Even just the way the camera zooms in on the tiny details, I feel like every single detail is acknowledged in this story. But at the same time, I already talked about the characters and their relationships, but you have really deep relationships, and you have characters that are so loyal to each other and that truly care about each other. You have villains that are they're not one note. You understand their motivations, you understand how they got here, you understand them, but at the same time, their relationships with each other, the villains' relationships with each other are like honest, true loyalty and love. Like, to the end, the villains care for one another, and it creates this complex human emotion and human dynamic between every player in the show. Even there are side characters that don't get near enough screen time that I love so much, that are some of my favorite characters in the show are characters that don't get that much screen time because they're all so well built, because they're all so well created, because they all are awesome. I think the biggest thing that made the show, other than just the fact that visually it's stunning to watch, and the action is so well done, and the political maneuverings are fascinating to watch unravel and to try to guess what direction things are going to go in. The character arcs, the individual characters, they are not the same from episode to episode. Everything that's happening in this world, and every choice that they're having to make, sometimes good ones, sometimes they make the wrong choices. Every choice that they make shapes them. It shapes who they are from episode to episode, to the point that characters that we start with and end with, they're different people, but it's a change that makes so much sense each time. But the thing I think that sells me on this so extraordinarily is that the characters and their situations and the arcs that they go through, they feel so real. Everything feels so real. If you're put in this position, if you're in this true danger, will you all make it out alive? Will you respond to this trauma in the most rational, reasonable way? Or will you crumble? And even the way the state of mind is depicted in this, we have one character that completely unravels, and that starts her grief, starts her seeing visions of those people, and she has to kind of fight those visions and fight the different voices that are pulling her in different directions. And the way her mental struggle is depicted on screen is so tangible because of the visions that she's seeing, and because of how those visions are even articulated in her drawing style. And watching her crumble is so tangible. It's such a unique way of showing this. It just all feels like, if this world were here and if these characters were in this world, how would they react? And that's what moves the story. It doesn't feel like the story is trying to get from point A to point B. It feels like the story is moving because of all the different dynamics. It feels so real. But then also the plot is very good. It's very interesting plot. It's kind of a slow moving, again, really more focused on the characters and their emotions and what they're going through, but the plot itself is very strong. And as we're going through it, it's so well plotted and paced. We don't have all these different side tangents. There are a lot of things going on, but it's all very intentional. It's very well done. And there's a lot of stuff going on, but it all comes together in a really, really, really strong way. There is a season to okay, let me tell you this. There are 9 episodes. Each episode is about 45 minutes long. If you will please watch this for me. The first 3 episodes, watch those, because that's kind of like the build up of what is, and then the next 6 are what is. So the first 3 are excellent. If you are not hooked by the end of episode 3, fair play. Thanks for trying. If you're interested to keep going after that, you are in for a ride in the next 6. Season 2 is already announced. We're gonna get it. We don't have a release date according to my Google search before I sat down here, but I am so excited for it. It's gonna be awesome. Truly, with this series, every episode just elevates from the last. It just gets better and better. It builds and it builds and it builds. And these characters are so well done. This world is fantastic. The individual struggles that these different characters are facing, the amount that this story does while still remaining as deep as it is incredible. Usually, a lot of times when a story goes out really wide and tries to focus on a lot of different characters in a lot of different places, a lot of times I feel like we lose some depth. This show's ability to maintain so much depth while doing so much is incredible. But it's also super easy to follow. Like, you can watch it and just have a great time. There's not that much thought that has to go into it, but you could dig deep into so many different things. Cinematically, it's gorgeous to watch. Story-wise, it's intriguing, it's deep, it's rich, it's incredible. Action-wise, incredible. Character-wise, incredible. it's just a really good story. It will not surprise anybody who's watched it and that knows me that my favorite characters are Powder and Echo. Naturally, I'm going to love the characters that we see as kids, and then we see what they shape into. These characters are amazing. Their personal journeys and arcs, what they shape into, not just the kids, all of them, even characters that we spend a short amount of time with, I care for so much. It's a really good show. I don't even watch TV. I don't even like shows typically. This is an amazing piece of storytelling. Cannot wait for season 2. Warning though, one trigger warning is flashing lights. I'm epileptic, and the flashing lights in this show, while it wasn't so continuous and so stroby that I had major issues, it did bother me. And there were scenes there was like one scene that I had to outright skip, and a few scenes where I had to close my eyes for a couple seconds. So be aware of that. It's kind of flashy. But please tell me what you think of the show. Have you watched it? I know I'm late to the game, but I loved it and I want to talk about it. If you have watched it, please chat with me about it. Tell me what your favorite element of the story is. Tell me what you want to see from season 2. Let's chat. If you're gonna do spoilers space so that people can opt out of being spoiled in the comments. If you're gonna watch it, please tell me so. And come back to the video and tell me what you thought of it, because I enjoyed this so much. It was so good. And that's it. That's the video. Just an all-out gush. If you found me through this video, probably don't subscribe because I talk about books and manga, but thanks for watching. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on this channel, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the second channel, which is linked in the description. I'll see you again soon. Bye.